And then ancient Israel was the first nation that could read. So where Egypt had 3,000 hieroglyphs, only 1% of Egypt could read, and reading and writing was the scribes' secret knowledge. They actually kept it secret on purpose, so they were needed as a class of scribes to interpret this. But they had 3,000 hieroglyphs. Sumeria had 1,500 cuneiform. China had 10,000. When Moses comes down the mountain, he has the law in a 22-character alphabet. First letter's Aleph, second letter Beth. So easy to learn, kids could read. So ancient Israel is the first literate population in world history. And so not only could everybody read, everybody was accountable to enforce the law. And so the verse everyone has memorized is Leviticus 19:18, love your neighbor as yourself. The verse right before it says, confront your neighbor directly so you will not be held guilty for their sin. So they're loving each other and they're confronting each other. It's like a parent. You love your kid, but every now and then you got to confront your kid and correct them. So ancient Israel had a self-policing system. Everybody's taught the law. Everybody helps enforce the law. And they had no police. When a crime was committed, you would get the accused and the elders, and you would go to the city gates and you would have the trial immediately. There were no prisons. And then they had no standing army because every man, not only did he help enforce the law, he helped defend his community. And so every man had a sword upon their thigh and were ready at a moment's notice to defend their wife and family and community. And so ancient Israel had a bureaucracy-free welfare system. What's that? Well, in Egypt, if you need land or if you need food, the government comes and gives you food in exchange for your land and in exchange for your cattle, exchange for your lives. But in ancient Israel, you need food. Well, everybody leaves the corners of their field, the gleanings, for the poor people to pick through. Like Ruth, this way the poor were taken care of in a decentralized manner. And so you study this Hebrew Republic period, and it's fascinating.
Let me mention one other thing about that, Bill, that I think a lot of people miss. They say, well, ancient Israel prescribed a care for the poor, but the government was not involved. There was no government per se. It came from God himself. It required private citizens who had land to leave the corners of their field for the poor. But notice, the farmers did not gather the grain and hand it out to the poor. The poor were required to harvest it themselves.